Hi, I want to talk about my experience with veganism, or I'm turning vegan gradually. Actually, this is the cup from the blender, and I put in a little bit of celery, a little bit of raw garlic, what else? A couple of radishes. Then I put in some spinach. Uh, then I added, there's gaps because they're not crushed yet. So I filled it up, the gaps, with tomato juice. And then when I turn the blender on, it really breaks the cell walls in the vegetables. And the whole thing turned into something like a shake. But then I add a bunch of herbs too. Like my mother told me that these three herbs, cumin, which I add as powder, cinnamon powder, and turmeric. Well, turmeric has so many healing qualities. So then the second run on the blender, all that stuff went in there. So it really became a shake. And when I drink this shake in the morning, then my blood sugar drops anywhere from 70 to 100. It usually hovers well above 150 in the morning. Usually it's like 200, 220. Then with this and the pills, it comes down to 150, which is very good for me because my head is very big. I can't really have my blood sugar like around 100. I'll be feeling like a hypoglycemic person. But but I had discovered that the juices like tomato juice or vegetable juice that you buy, they really drop my blood sugar. But that's not very good by itself because the vegetable they have some kind of mass that helps the body digestion proceed a lot better. But the reason I think I didn't like eating vegetables so much, or even much less eating them raw, is because when I've gotten older, most people are like me, and the vegetables they have cell structure or walls. I have to really chew them very good, especially if you are eating them raw. And then most people they get sick of that very quickly. They go moving and eat carbohydrates because they are just sweet and they're addictive. The body or the mouth wants to swallow them right away. But with the blender and also with adding the tomato juice, it really breaks down. This blender I have, it totally makes everything into particles. And for example, in that one blender cup, I put nice sticks of celery, bunch of celery, and uh, you know, uh, spinach, or then the raw garlic, radishes. Those are stuff. If I wanted to eat them raw without them being broken down, I would have a harder time. Probably I would chew some of the celery and then nibble on the spinach, but it wouldn't be a shake that I could just drink it. And I have been making these shakes and using them or drinking them. Uh, that's great. It's just I think it's my innovation of getting the raw vegetables into my diet on a consistent basis. The tomato juice also helps a lot. It makes it all into a shake, and also without the tomato juice, without the liquid being in there, the, the blender wouldn't work very well. So some of the biggest stuff is stuck on top, but when you add the liquid or the tomato juice, it makes everything circulate in the blender, and that's a really good way of getting real nutrients, because most of the nutrients of vegetables they're destroyed when you cook it, or when even you chew it. Then the cell wall hasn't broken. Well, the blender, when a good blender, mechanical action really smashes the cell walls of the vegetables. And actually, most of the very good nutrients in the celery or in the radishes or anything is inside the cell, and is segregated. So when you even chew it very good, and it ends up in the stomach, well, the only way the body really gets any of these nutrients is by a process of diffusion. And most of the nutrients really stay inside the cell, and the cell just kind of travels through the digestive tract and is gone. But that's not what I want. I want the nutrients that are inside the cell. I like everything as a powdery form, like herbs. I want them powdered. I also don't want to struggle a lot to drink them down or take them down. I don't want my teeth or my jaw or my, I don't want stuff stuck in my throat. I want to have as easy a time of getting these goodie stuff into my system. And this system I've created, it really does the job. Well, I don't think it's a new system, because my mother knew about this when I was talking to her. Well, those three herbs, cumin, cinnamon, I buy good cinnamon from Ceylon. It's different than the American cinnamon. And turmeric too, I buy good turmeric. They are really longevity drugs. And they keep the body in many departments in good shape. Then, also there's still one other problem that remains, and that's the fact that my body is not used to all these plant or vegetable kind of stuff coming in, even if they're coming in a very easy form to digest or take in. I'm used to junk food. I'm used to eating in restaurants. So I don't want to turn completely vegan. So I mean, I will use these kinds of shakes, but I know that I don't want my whole system to rebel at some point. So basically, I know that all the nutrients that my body needs is in this shake. It's not in the tacos or hamburgers I eat sometimes. Well, I don't eat hamburgers anymore, but I do eat in Del Taco or Taco Bell, and the food is fine. But the only problem is that it's processed food, because the burrito has processed wheat, processed meat, and they don't have all the nutrients that, for example, a little celery would have, a raw celery. And so basically, I do this, and then I go out in the lunchtime or so, or dinner, and well, in dinner I have another shake. But I also go and eat some tacos and you know those foods. They just basically trick the body to thinking everything is as usual. But once I started these shakes, there have been dramatic changes. In my blood sugar has dropped. I'm using much less insulin, and the the blood sugar is always trading down, not trading up. Used to, if I was not careful, used to easily jump to 250, 300, but it's now all the time hovering over 150. And I do get hypoglycemic episodes. Like I woke up and my blood sugar was 92. I had to go make some sandwich. I made some jam and bread and bring it up. It's not a very comfortable feeling, especially when I get hyperglycemic attacks. I don't know if anybody knows about it. It's not a very good feeling, and hyperglycemic attacks have also psychic effects, or they change your thinking, because when they start, I become very feisty, like a feisty little chihuahua, like your thinking also changes a little bit. But then on the other end of the spectrum, when, when if I'm not careful, I eat too much sugar, and I go from hypoglycemic attack to when the blood sugar has traveled over 200, 250, then you feel like really sluggish and feel like you want to take a nap. And they both suck big time, but I sometimes end up yo-yoing. But the frequency of hypoglycemic attacks increase with these shakes, and I think that there is something, some nutrients or ingredients in raw vegetables, regardless of what they are. For example, in spinach, that the body just desperately needs to complete the sugar cycle. This is the feeling, because every single time there is large drops in blood sugar. Well, it's more dramatic than when I even take insulin. Insulin, it takes a little bit of time, but this thing is, and also it's more pronounced than taking insulin. I had been experimenting with these ideas for a very long time, because I have been diabetic for a very long time, and I think that our human body is like a complete chemical factory. It does react strongly to nutrients, or I've talked about these other ideas in another video about herbs, and actually I have 2 boxes here. There are not 3 or 4 boxes, but one box has about 15 to 20 different herbs, and they are all herbs like tangatali, or the other one was horny goat weed, yohimbi bark powder, all kinds of herbs, or futi, tusuzi. They are all, some are Chinese, but when I make such a shake, sometimes I don't put longevity herbs in it, like turmeric or cumin or other ones, but I put the ones that are for rejuvenation, sexual rejuvenation, and they really work. I don't put a lot of them. I put just a small pinch of each, and I have many different ones. So they are like they work in a combination fashion, and my sex drive or my libido is like just when I had it when I was 25. Well, this is one box. The other box, I have a bunch of herbs. There were like 15. One is turmeric, and then the other one is like lion's mane, um, gotu kula, and there is a bunch of them. There is so many numerous that I can't get you all the names. But these herbs, they all invigorate the nerves, brain cells, memory. They make the thinking faculties or functions much faster. And they're really in that box. Is really in a combination form all the ingredients for a limitless pill. I would call that a limitless pill. And when I take that with all these other nutrients that come from vegetables in a shake, boom! It's like it does have a huge impact. I think that my IQ, well, before I started on these therapies, it was like 153. I don't know what it is now. Has it gone 100 points up or 50 points up? I don't know. Uh, but I have very easy facility with learning things, with memorizing things. Um, I used to have backache. The backache is gone because the sugar gets into the nerves and the sciatic nerve in the back, but I get backaches much less. And the what the digestion and the diabetes, you have to take pills to make it go normally. But I don't know if it has helped. But the pulp in the vegetables, they help the system run much more smoothly and more digestion and more, getting rid of the refuse. Uh, these ideas, they run in my family. My sister and my mother, they both practice herbal medicine. They both use it extensively, and my mother helps my brother. He's diabetic too, and his health has been getting much better. There is a lot of merit in these herbs. Uh, that's just about as far as I want to go. I have two other boxes. Uh, well, I haven't really expanded too much on it. In one of the smaller boxes, I have herbs that enhance mood, make you feel great. For example, St. John's wort, it combats depression. Then I use some saffron. Saffron induces a kind of happiness, like silly kind of happiness. But the saffron, I cannot use it too frequently. It has toxic effects too. It only should be used like once in a blue moon. There is a herb which is now legal in the United States. I buy it off of eBay. It's called the lilies of the Nile, or blue lily of the Nile. And this herb, when made into a powder, which I am more inclined to use it as a powder, it's like a sedative. It actually has opiates in it, a very mild form of opiate, and it was found in Egyptian tombs. They used it. Well, it's mild. It's weak opiate. It's not like hashish or teriyaki. Those are very strong in comparison. Uh, there is a herb I use it as a powder. It's called white willow bark powder. White willow bark powder, and it has ingredients or compound in it which is very much similar to aspirin. So, like if you have a lot of pain, you could use that with the lily of the night to help us sleep or get rid of the pain. Uh, there is a there is a herb. I don't think it works too well, uh, but I have some bay leaf powder, and it does make you kind of happy. But it's strange. It kicks in at off hours or some strange times later, and many of the herbs that are around the kitchen, they have many qualities to them. People they don't realize what this herb can do. Well, thank you very much for being my YouTube channel. Please subscribe and leave your comment.